Good morning. Welcome to the Behavioral Health Brief. I'm Jim Callahan, and I have the honor of being the president and CEO of Turn Behavioral Health Services, an organization driven by one clear mission: improving lives. I often ask myself, is there anything more important than that in our world today? My belief is this: when improving lives guides our decisions, stronger systems and healthier communities follow. That belief is the hope behind this podcast. That's where today's conversation begins and why programs like Courage to Call are so essential. Joining me today on the Behavioral Health Brief is Jon Aasted. Jon, thank you for being here today and supporting Turn. We're so excited, and we truly appreciate the work that you're doing for the veteran community. You serve as the Veteran Engagement Coordinator for the City of San Diego, working with Mayor Todd Gloria's administration. Before we talk about your role today, I'd love to start with your story. Track us back to the day that you decided to serve and share with us where you were in the country. Was it in San Diego? Was it in Philadelphia? Where were you, and what motivated you to serve for our country?
Yeah, I just finished my associate's degree, and I was living in Santa Clarita. So I went to MEPS out of Los Angeles. The day I decided to go and be screened to join the Navy, there was a bomb threat. So a 3-hour event turned into like 12 hours. I got locked into a building for which is great for them because they have you kind of locked in a building, and now they want you to sign a contract. So I did, but that was my first experience with anything with the military, was taking an admission exam and then being locked in a building because of a bomb threat. So it was a very interesting day.
Oh, you're actually locked in a building?
Yeah, we weren't allowed to leave.
And you weren't allowed to leave for 12 hours?
Yeah, I was there from like 7 to 7. It was a long
day. They were like, the recruiters were like recruiting you the whole time you were in there for 12 hours.
Oh, definitely. I heard every pitch for every single type of job. But I was pretty steadfast in what I wanted to do, so I got to do what I wanted.
What do you remember most about that moment, being locked in a building?
Well, I was like, is this going to be my whole time in the military, just constantly being, well, I mean, obviously you're told what to do, and there's a lot of expectations that you follow orders, obviously. But am I just going to be stuck in a building the whole time? And yeah, it wasn't like that at all. My career's been great with the Navy, but it was fun. Once the bomb threat was kind of over and I signed that contract, it was pretty exciting.
What'd you do next? Once you signed the contract and you were in the Navy and you finally got out of that building and walked out and probably took a deep breath and what did I just do?
Yeah, exactly. I'd signed up for 8 years. That was the first term. It was like 6 years as an active reservist and 2 years as an inactive reservist. And I joined as an intelligence specialist. So I knew I wanted something with a clearance. I thought that would help me when I got out of the military or when I was done with serving. And sure enough, 18 years later, I'm still serving as a reservist, and
nice.
Haven't looked back.
Wow, that's amazing. Amazing. What's been inspiring you lately with the work you're doing now for Mayor Todd Gloria's office?
I love seeing all of the community partners we have out there. There's not a whole lot I can do at the city as an individual. If someone calls with an issue, I'm probably not the right person that's going to flip the switch and solve their problem. But there's so many other organizations in the community that have been helpful. I mean, the Wounded Warrior Project is like one of the easy buttons for me. If someone's experiencing a financial crisis, I can call up some connections that I have over there, direct this person to a warm body instead of a phone line or an email that gets lost, and really help make a difference like immediately.
Yeah, I know. When we had lunch the other day, you were saying, I'm a connector. If you need a handicap ramp built to be able to access your house, I know the person to build it. If you need to move into a residence, I know the mover to move you in. But I'm not going to be the guy that's going to build the ramp or move the furniture for you. So that's really great, because those services are so needed all across the community. I love what the Wounded Warrior Project does. Outside of work, how do you unwind? How do you slow down and take care of yourself?
Yeah, I'm getting into middle age, and I have a hobby that is definitely makes me feel old. I love jujitsu. It's something I do like 4 5 days a week. I was there 3 hours yesterday. So if I'm not feeling sore, I know I haven't been to the gym in a while. So it's one of my favorite things to do. When you're there, it's pretty much all you can think about. If you start thinking about work or bills or anything going on at home, you're going to get choked. So it's a nice like Zen flow state while you're there.
Well, that's terrific. Anything else to share? Any other hobbies?
I have a kid. I got a great wife. So baseball practice, baseball games. That's pretty much if I'm not doing jiu-jitsu or working, I'm probably at baseball.
Let's lean into why your office, all this work is so essential to the San Diego community. Current data that we've got is 230 to 250,000 veterans call San Diego home, alongside 110 to 120,000 active military. And as we were talking earlier, we are probably in San Diego the largest veteran group in the entire country. And what we hear from Courage to Call, our program that we operate, is there's still very real challenges of food insecurity, gaps between federal benefits and local realities, the need for navigation and coordination and advocacy, housing instability and homelessness, and obviously in San Diego, the high cost of living. What do you see veterans struggling with the most once they come out of the military?
I think finding a job that gives them purpose is a challenge. And all those things that you mentioned, housing, food insecurity, all those things are just compounded if you don't have a job that you like. So if you're struggling to find employment, then you're probably going to have a hard time feeding your family. You're probably going to have a hard time affording a house that's, that feels like home.
Yeah.
So finding a job that's either aligned with their military skills or aligned with something they're passionate about is challenging.
Right. What's the biggest gap that you're trying to fill as your role in the mayor's office today?
I just want to connect people to the resources that will make that easier for them. In the military, you have a job, you have an MOS or a Navy employment code, and you do that job. And then you move 4 years later and you do that job and you grow in rank and responsibility and your duties change and you have all these other assigned tasks that may or may not have anything to do with your job. And so you develop this agility and this dynamic ability to learn new things. But an employer wants to know that you can do the job that they're hiring for. And so they're not looking to train someone. And so it's a challenge for veterans to convince an employer that, if you hire me, I'll figure this out.
Do you do any liaison work with employers, like educating them on what people coming out of the military are really all about, and the key workers that they are?
Yes, I have friends or I know hiring managers or HR folks within a lot of organizations in this area. And so if someone's like, I want to get a job at Northrop Grumman, or I'd like to go get a job at Amazon, I probably know someone at one of those companies. There's a long list of other companies, obviously, but being able to connect them with someone that will actually have a conversation with them, that kind of brings down some of those barriers and alleviates some of the concerns that those employers have.
Yeah, it seems to be that a lot of employers are, I don't talk a lot to employers, but our program does. Christina, who our program manager for Courage to Call, and they're a little hesitant when people are coming back from the battlefield and being able to get a job in the community. Do you do any training with them in your job?
So I volunteered for a long time with a group called Vet CTAP, and they actually just closed up shop. But through that organization, we're helping people with resumes and LinkedIn profiles, and this is how you interview. And now there's other resources out there like Wounded Warrior Project, and they have a team dedicated exclusively to helping people network, writing resumes, doing all that stuff that I was doing with another organization. So once folks get comfortable and they have a resume that's a good collection and a good representation of their skill set for the jobs they're trying to get, I think that makes it a little easier for them.
Yeah, we're trying to, I shared with you at lunch and before when we were talking about this that, our Courage to Call program lost its funding with the County of San Diego, which we're truly honored to have had the County of San Diego fund us for 17 years, which is great. But, there's the challenges for the county. But we've been gracious enough to be able to receive a good donor and has stepped up. But my point with that is we really want to expand those type of services. Now that we're kind of under the auspice of the county, we can expand our services in several different ways like that. And I've been working with the Courage to Call team to do some of that different training. We get them in now that are looking for all those types of things. But I think it's going to open up the door for us much better to be able to do that training.
That's great.
So we're going to continue this conversation in just a moment because it's been a great one today. But before we do, this is a good opportunity to share a segment of the show called The Brief. And we're going to highlight current events that are shaping behavioral health. And you and I were recently at the SDMAC bill number 1407. So California is losing military retirees at a significant rate, with the population declining more than 27% since 2000. One of the major reasons that's impacting California remains as one of the few states still taxes military retirement pay, while 38 other states don't. Senate Bill 1407, which is part of the State California campaign by SDMAC, would provide a full state tax exemption on military retirement pay, helping retain veterans and their families who continue to contribute as leaders. Could you speak to that for a minute, John, about your understanding of Senate Bill 1407?
Yeah, my understanding is that it would just put us on par with some of the other state leaders. We're losing a lot of folks to Texas and Florida, and I think the goal here is to encourage people to stay in California, and likely they're going to get another job out here, and that income is going to be taxed.
Yeah.
They'll keep their house out here, and that property tax is still going to happen. So if they leave, you get 0% of nothing.
Right.
So if they stay, likely you'll maintain a tax base that's willing to contribute to the economy, continuing to work and provide their leadership in whatever industry they decide to focus on.
Yeah, because policies like this, if we can help SDMAC get this policy pushed through, is really going to help our community, impacts housing and mental health and family well-being. And for our listeners today, if you'd like to learn more and support this effort, you can find the full details at SDMAC website. And now, a brief word from Turn Behavioral Health Services, and we'll be right back.
Improving lives every day and in every way for Californians. This is the mission of Turn Behavioral Health Services. By focusing on wellness, recovery, and resilience, Turn is helping create lasting change, especially for our military community. If you're active duty, a veteran, reservist, regardless of military status, or part of a military family in San Diego, support is here. Courage to Call is a free, confidential helpline staffed by veterans who understand military life. From 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., you can connect with peer-to-peer specialists who are ready to listen, guide, and help on the very first call. Struggling with mental health, food insecurity, finances, housing? You don't have to face it alone. Call 877-698-7838. That's 877-698-7838. Courage to Call will answer your call. Courage to Call is a program of Turn Behavioral Health Services, improving lives every day in every way.
Marsh McLennan Agency, a business of Marsh, is a provider of business insurance, employee health and benefits, retirement and wealth, and private client insurance solutions across the U.S. and Canada, with several locations across Southern California. To learn more about Marsh, a trusted advisor around the world with expertise in risk, strategy, and people, please visit marsh.com.
Welcome back to the Behavioral Health Brief. I'm Jim Callahan. We're continuing our conversation with Jon Aasted. Now, Jon is leading the veteran engagement for Mayor Todd Gloria's office. And Jon, San Diego's very unique military and veteran community. Let's explore that a little bit. We had the opportunity to attend the Invictus Games celebration event the other night at the University Club. I wonder if you could expand upon the Invictus Games and why it's so important for San Diego in 2029 to receive these games. I was totally impressed with the whole presentation the other night and really willing and wanting to be part of that Invictus Games organization and move it forward. So, Jon, if you could relay to us the whole kind of layout for the Invictus Games that's coming up?
Sure. It's a wonderful opportunity for the city of San Diego, the state of California, the United States to host these games. We hosted the games, I think, in Florida, probably the second time the games were hosted ever, back in 2014 or 2016. And the games haven't been hosted in the U.S. since. So it's a great opportunity to bring the games back to the United States. Essentially, the Invictus Games is like an Olympic style of events with adaptive sports for wounded, ill, and injured veterans from 25 different countries.
Wow, that's tremendous.
Yeah.
25 different countries.
Definitely.
Amazing.
It's all like a goodwill type of games, or they compete in a triathlon. There's like basketball, wheelchair basketball.
Yeah.
There's swimming. There's so many other games, and allows them to compete and share goodwill with one another, break bread, while they're living together for the entire series of events. And if we could bring that to San Diego, it would be an excellent opportunity. We're currently in the run with two other countries, South Korea and Denmark. And we're the only U.S. country being considered. So, or U.S. city being considered.
Yeah, excuse me. How do you feel our chances are in San Diego to win the games?
I wasn't obviously there when the Invictus Games Foundation went to these other communities, these other countries, and saw what they had to present. But I think we had a really good showing, and there was a lot of comments from the CEO of Invictus Games. Just he was blown away by the community of San Diego. We went to a Padres game, and during like the fourth inning, they asked the veterans to stand up and be recognized, and everyone claps. And it's a really, really great experience. And the COO is a retired general from the British military, and he was like, they'd never do this in England. And just the ability for our community to just work and be alongside our veterans in just enjoy a baseball game together and then recognize these individuals was like such a great experience for him. And these other countries aren't doing the same thing. Like we do such a good job of making our veterans feel welcome. So they were blown away by that. And I think that's one of our strong suits here in San Diego, is we really weave these people into the fabric of our community.
Yeah, when you think about the numbers, 230 to 250,000 veterans, and to be able to have those games here in San Diego, that would be tremendous. I mean, just think of the crowd, just the veterans alone, that would be able to come out and witness people doing like Olympic events, right? And from a veterans field and view, I just think it's simply amazing for the city of San Diego. And I'm so hopeful that they're able to take or win the opportunity in 2029. I thought when I was reading the material that Birmingham that is going to pick up. Is that Birmingham, Alabama that's actually going to get the games?
No.
Okay.
That's the games are in England this year.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah, or not this year.
Yeah.
Next year.
Yeah.
Regardless, it's not us. So.
Yeah. So interesting. I think you said the other day too that if we're not able to potentially get 2029, there could be an opportunity in 2031, right?
I mean, that's the hope. The hope is we get it in 29, and kind of the backup plan is perhaps 31. We'll see. Just like when France was selected for the Olympics, Los Angeles did a great job of showing why LA should be selected. And so they were, instead of having to go through another round of bids, they put Los Angeles in for the next series of Olympics. So we're hoping that if we don't get it, that 2031 is our year.
I think it was really interesting because we were at an event at the University Club, and the gentleman, I don't know if that was the COO who came up and spoke at the microphone.
That's CEO. Yeah,
CEO,
Robert.
But he led me to believe that with how he described San Diego and some of the stuff that you brought up about San Diego and the way he described it, kind of left me with a thing that we may be leading the cities right now, and it's kind of ours to lose. For those of you who are in our audience today and with us, the gentleman pulled out a Tom Cruise set of glasses and led everybody in song and put the sunglasses on. It was quite an experience. Anything to share on that from that Wednesday night just a week ago?
Yeah, that was exciting. We had a lot of folks show up to that, a lot of community partners. It's been a great experience. There's a bid team. They're managing this whole process of getting this opportunity together, and myself and one of my colleagues are kind of advising and helping get those connections for this organization. So when it all came together and everyone showed up, it was wonderful. So yeah. I think we impressed them.
And I think we have San Diego has Invictus Games San Diego website where our viewers or listeners today could go out and find out more information about the Invictus Games, because I think that's really going to be big for our veteran community, our active military community in San Diego as a whole.
Yeah, if they want to learn more about it and what that bid looks like, yeah, they should go to that website. Okay.
Well, let's shift for a minute and kind of back to some of the things happening key for our active military and veterans in San Diego. A question, what are we getting right, and where do we still need to be honest about improvements for veterans in our active military in San Diego?
I mean, you throw a rock and there's a veteran organization willing to help people out. So I think from a caring capacity and a desire to help veterans, like, we're doing that in spades. We're doing a great job there. I think every community could do better in this area, or the country could do better in this. When folks transition out of the military, they haven't had opportunities to interview for a job as often as someone their same age and peer group. So they're often like lacking some of these skills, and I think employers, and this is something that employers, if they just understood this, they might have a little more grace for someone coming straight out of the military looking to work for them. So if we could find a way to bridge that skill gap and then also encourage employers to maybe take a chance, I think we could really help improve the lives of our veterans.
Great input. And how do community-based organizations complement government efforts and what government can't do? If you could talk to that, being you're working for the mayor's office and you're working with multiple organizations out there, what can we do more that the government can't do?
I mean, just direct access to resources. Like I had a gentleman call me, and he was in the process of getting a voucher for housing, and it was like 2 weeks before he was able to move in. And during that time, he's living on the street with his dog. And there's not a lot of places that'll take someone with a dog or a pet in general. And so he's like, I just need some food and some clothing, and I can't provide him with clothing. I don't have those resources personally, but I was able to support the Enlisted Project. And Tony Trevelyan and his team were like, what does he need? Let me know, come by the warehouse, pick up whatever you think this gentleman needs. And I was able to deliver a box of goods, and this guy was, overwhelmed with the generosity of the community, and that kept him afloat until he was able to get into housing. And I've checked in on him a couple of times, and he's got an apartment, he's happy, and he's stabilizing, and he's waiting for an opportunity to pay it forward. So that's something
tremendous.
The community can do, is just give people things where, we don't have that ability as government employees.
Right. Yeah. Our Courage to Call program, we do that. I think, as you know, 2 times a month we're feeding. Right? Anybody who needs food can come by. We team with Feeding San Diego. We've had 400 people come through in a weekend.
Wow.
When we talked earlier about food insecurities today, it's a real need out there in our communities to be able to feed and be able to hand out food. We're expanding our feeding. We're putting in new refrigerators and freezers at our office building in Kearny Mesa. So when we can get fresh food during the week, because a lot of times we'll get people coming to us from the VA brought over for groups and for therapy and stuff, and we can clothe them, we can feed them. So I just, I hear that all the time, that there's such a need for all of that out in the community. It'd be great to be able to coalesce a lot of these groups together, and we pick a Wednesday or pick a Saturday of the month where veterans could go to different areas, or maybe even shuttle buses to take them around to get clothing, get food, and stuff like that. So
that sounds like a good idea.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. So now this is one of my favorite parts of the show. We get community questions. We can draw right out of the cup here, and we have our first question. And our first question is from Brandon from Escondido. Asks, how did your own transition out of uniform, although you're not fully out of uniform yet, shape the way you now approach advocacy and decision-making for veterans here in San Diego?
So I my Navy personal career, all that's kind of convoluted. I was a police officer for a while. And so, that's like serving in the military. It's a very specific set of skills that you're trained into, and you do a bunch of random things. And then I went on some period of active duty where I was working with JSOC, which is a great organization in the military.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was ready to start a new term in my life and look into a new career. And I was trying to get into human resources and recruiting, and every door was just shutting.
Wow.
And so that experience led me to start networking and working on my resume, like what's wrong with what I'm presenting that's turning people away from my applications. And so I really did a lot of work on myself. But what I heard a lot was like, we don't see how this experience is translating into this job and whatever. So I learned how to network, and I started finding other groups that were really good at helping people network. And so once I got into local government and into a recruiting type position, I didn't want to pull the ladder up after me. I was like, how can I help other people? How can I make this easier for them? So that's how I got into this space.
Huh. Well, I have a question, but I'm not going to pull it out of the coffee mug there. But how did you end up at Mayor Gloria's office? How did you connect with Todd? And I've known Todd for years and supported him since he was a city council member. And so how did you get connected with Todd? And they opened a door for you, so that's terrific.
Yeah, they definitely did. This position didn't exist before I stepped into it. So, but they had posted it on like a local job board, and a Marine friend of mine, she and I worked together at the city of Carlsbad. She came across this job description. She's like, this sounds like exactly like what you talk about all the time. You should apply. So I applied. I think they had like 200 applicants, and
wow.
I made it to the short list and interviewed, and apparently I said something right.
Yeah.
It resonated, and like within a day or so, I got a call asking me to like, can we call your references? I'm like, yes. Like if you, I'm definitely interested in this role. So my position like sits in HR, but I report to Mayor Gloria as well.
Yeah, interesting. What's the most exciting thing in your job?
It's a lot of job descriptions have like other duties as assigned. I think that should have just been the only job description, part of the job description. Like I do so many like random things that I never would have thought about. I'd never met the mayor before I started this role, and I'd worked in local government at the county level or other cities, but being able to work with such like a great leader has been amazing. Yeah. And then just being in the community, being able to help people, being in that point of contact for people to direct them to resources. It's been great.
That's great. Well, let's take one more question here. I think we have one more left. Okay. So this question comes from Adrian in Poway. San Diego has an incredible number of veteran resources, but it can still feel overwhelming. What do you see as the biggest gap veterans and families face when trying to find help? How does local coordination actually make a difference? There's a lot in that question.
Yeah, there's a lot.
That's a packed question.
Let's see if I can answer it. Yeah, there are a lot. And yes, it can feel overwhelming. I think for an individual, they just have to be willing to ask for help. I think that's a big barrier, is that the people, they don't ask, or they take one shut door as like the final answer. Because there are so many folks out there, if one group can't help you, another group can. For instance, I keep mentioning like Wounded Warrior Project.
Yeah.
But they have like financial counseling and financial services. But they have limitations based off of their donors and what they're able to do. And if you are not eligible for their resource, the people that assist like the actual human being that works on those teams, they're often connected to other resources and can use those resources that are similar, but through a different organization.
Right.
Or, if you go to Feeding San Diego, for instance, like they're connected to a bunch of other organizations too. So if you're struggling to pay for food, you probably have some other financial issues as well. Perhaps you don't have a job. Perhaps you're not managing your finances well. Perhaps you're in a lot of debt. A lot of things that could be not being able to pay for food is a symptom probably of a larger problem.
Yeah.
And so being willing to have those conversations about like, what's the illness here? What's actually causing you to have to go get food?
You got to ask for help if you need the help. Because like you said, there's a bigger picture here that's going on with the individual if they're hungry. And I like what you said about Feeding San Diego. Go to their office and it's like a wall of, you can find a job. You can find somebody who's got these services or those services and at Admiral Bob's location. So one more question today. Oh, and this one's from Jeannie in La Jolla. For veterans or family members listening who might be struggling but unsure where to start, what's the most important thing you want them to know right now?
They're not alone. I mean, there's so many veterans in this area. Like your experience is unique. You're an individual, but there are so many people that have experiences that are probably close to something that you're dealing with. So going to a place where veterans are, your VFW or your go on the internet and look for Wounded Warrior Project's website and see what they have listed as available resources.
Or like the San Diego Veterans Coalition.
Exactly.
Right. That's pretty big in town. Mm-hmm. So
like once you start peeling back that onion, you'll realize there's a lot of resources. And so I think just being willing to ask for help is just probably the best first step.
Well, Jon, it's been great to have you today. Really want to thank you for coming on our podcast and sharing about the Invictus Games and sharing your experience, and appreciate your service and your continued service. Have one final question for you. What do you want to leave our audience with today?
I want to be a point of contact, a resource for anyone in the community. And so if there's someone struggling and they just need someone to talk to, or they're looking for a job, or they need help with a resume, or they're struggling with food, reach out. I'm willing to help. I'm willing to connect you. And, I love what I do, and being able to help people, it really brings me a lot of joy. So there's no burden to being asked for help.
Well, that's great. And thank you again, Jon, for being here today. As I close today's episode, I want to pause and practice something essential to well-being and perspective, and that's gratitude. And I'm grateful for our veteran partners and community organizations supporting both active duty service members and veterans across San Diego County. Special appreciation goes out for Feeding San Diego and Admiral Bob and his team for the great job that they're doing out there in feeding San Diego County and the whole community. For their continued dedication and our Courage to Call program, and to the incredible staff at Turn Behavioral Health Services, thank you. Every day you show up with compassion, purpose, supporting more than 15,000 clients who depend on us. I'm deeply grateful for this team. To our listeners, thank you for spending time with us today. Please like, share, subscribe. And as I close, I'll answer with the question that I opened with. There's nothing more important than improving lives. And together, we are improving lives. I'm Jim Callahan. This has been the Behavioral Health Brief. See you next time.